Valkyrie Profile Lenneth is a role-playing game developed by Tri-Ace and published by Square Enix. It's a port of the PSP version of the game, which was a re-release of the original PlayStation game. Square Enix and Tri-Ace have made the game in an attempt to revive the Valkyrie series. The game has received minor improvements to make it more accessible, but remains otherwise unchanged from its original release. In Valkyrie Profile Lenneth, players control the character Lenneth, a Valkyrie, tasked by Odin to recruit warriors worthy of the great halls of Valhalla, called Einherjar for the impending war of Ragnarok. The game is set in the world of Midgard and involves exploring a map based on real-world locations, talking to people, chancing upon dangerous dungeons, and finding potential Einherjar candidates in the form of suitable souls that must be rescued, trained, and sent to Valhalla for the final battle. The gameplay involves time cycles, in which the players must balance their actions and make choices that will impact the outcome of the game. As the players progress through the game, they will encounter a variety of characters and storylines, each with their own unique challenges and experiences. The game features engaging content and a complex narrative, expected to provide a lengthy and immersive experience, lasting around 30 hours. Players of Valkyrie Profile will recognize the game's unique blend of sprite modeling, atypical mechanics, and storytelling. Lenneth's journey to collect souls is highlighted by its evocative illustrations and voice work, as well as its unexpected plot twists and mature themes. Players will encounter many characters along the way, some of whom will become part of Lenneth's group. Lenneth's role as a Valkyrie creates a noticeable contrast between herself and the party members, who are not typically seen in Japanese RPGs. The voice acting has not aged particularly well, but some will undoubtedly find this to simply add to the game's nostalgia factor. The gameplay involves exploring a small-scale world map and participating in turn-based combat and customization. Dungeons in the game feature platforming elements and creative design, and players are encouraged to explore them thoroughly to find valuable loot. Combat involves pressing buttons to attack and combining attacks to do more damage, and players can customize their party members' abilities and equipment. Players are under a time limit called periods, which are consumed by various actions such as performing spiritual concentration, entering towns and dungeons, and viewing key scenes. Once enough time has passed, an assessment occurs where players are granted rewards based on their performance. Players also have the ability to send characters who embody specific requirements to Asgard at the request of the goddess Freya. In addition to the main storyline, the game also offers side quests and optional content for players to explore, adding to the replay value of the game. Players can enter locations marked on the map and encounter small stories and conflicts involving characters. These stories are thought-provoking and emotionally resonant, and they often involve characters with unique identities and backgrounds. The game presents these stories through cutscenes that utilize pixelated aesthetics in a creative way. Dungeons are usually set in different biomes and are presented in a 2D platformer style. Players can attack, crouch, slide, jump, and shoot freezing projectiles to halt enemies and help navigate obstacles as they explore these areas. While players have the option to avoid combat and simply pass by enemies, doing so means missing out on valuable experience points that are necessary for facing bosses later on in the game. These experience points are gained through defeating enemies in combat, and they're crucial for leveling up and increasing the player's strength and abilities. Players can engage in turn-based battles with enemies. The player's team is composed of up to 4 characters, including Lenneth, and each character has their own set of attacks and abilities that can be triggered using the main buttons. The battle system is deeper than it at first appears, with extra resources such as precise counterattacks, and team combos that can cause significantly more damage when used effectively. These team combos allow players to unleash powerful special attacks on enemies, making them a crucial part of the battle strategy. While the battle system has held up well over time, the exploration gameplay has not aged as well. The movement and jumping mechanics can be frustrating at times, especially when precise accuracy is needed. Players who are used to the flow of more modern games may find exploration frustrating, but it's important to keep in mind that the game was released over 20 years ago and may require adjustment to the controls. There aren't many punishing puzzles or traps, but the game does require some precision when navigating the environment. The game's menus and management interface, while initially appearing somewhat daunting, are actually quite accessible. Players can use points obtained in battles to improve their character's passive skills, such as fighting power and life bar, as well as more obscure elements like leadership skills and knowledge about enemies. These points can also be used to improve the player's heroic index and unlock special abilities that become available as the player progresses through the game's dungeons. The game features pixel art elements, remastered for widescreen televisions, ensuring the game looks good on modern displays. The characters and enemies are well designed and visually appealing, and the scenarios are diverse, detailed, and beautiful. While there are some instances of blurred textures and other contextual elements that may clash with the overall aesthetic, these don't significantly affect the game. The illustrations that accompany the dialogue are clear and work well for characterizing the numerous NPCs that appear throughout the game. These illustrations are used in cutscenes as well as in conversations between Lenneth and the rest of the team. The computer-generated scenes, however, don't match the rhythm of the rest of the game and seem inconsistent with the pixelated and illustrated visuals. While these CGI scenes are technically beautiful and have been adapted well to high definition, they stand out as being out of place compared to the rest of the game. Another issue worth noting is that the texts can be vague in explaining how each item works, requiring more attention and experimentation from the player. Players may need to pay close attention to the descriptions of each item and experiment with their use in order to understand their full potential. Despite this inconsistency in the visuals, the game's musical score is exceptional and remains one of the greatest works in the genre. The music is able to capture the solemn tone of an epic adventure while also maintaining a feeling of adventure and freshness. Valkyrie Profile Lenneth is a highly recommended game for fans of Japanese RPGs, whether they are veterans or newcomers to the genre. The game features 3 possible endings, with the best ending only available on the normal or advanced difficulty levels. Each ending has exclusive dungeons that offer more challenging gameplay. The game has also been updated with extra features such as a second save system and a timeline that allows players to go back to previous points in the game to fix mistakes. The game further includes a tool that allows players to choose between a classic and modern visual filter. The controls in the game are intuitive, although it isn't possible to remap the commands. The market currently has mixed feelings about ports, re-releases, remakes, and remasters, but some works of art, like Valkyrie Profile Lenneth, deserve special attention and should be introduced to new audiences. This new version of the game maintains all of the best aspects of the original while modernizing it without distorting it. It's a dynamic and poetic game that's light yet intricate, challenging yet accessible. It's a great addition to any collection for fans of the genre and for anyone who appreciates a good game. Valkyrie Profile Lenneth is one of the most important Japanese RPG classics in history, even though it's less well known than other titles in the genre. Despite a few outmoded aspects, the game remains beautiful, captivating, and charming, making it a strong recommendation for old and new fans alike.